During a family dinner, my father-in-law slapped my son and pushed him to the floor. His daughter laughed. "Thanks, Dad. Maybe that will teach him." My blood ran cold. I got up and dialed a number. They have no idea who they're dealing with. Before we continue, please subscribe and let us know where you're listening in the comments. I hadn't seen my son, Titus, in 3 months when the invitation came. A text from Violet, my daughter-in-law, not from him. Dinner Sunday, 6:30. No warmth, no explanation for the silence, just a summons. I drove to their house in Ballard that evening with cautious hope. The kind you develop at 67 when life has taught you that making up rarely comes without strings. The Craftsman home on 24th Avenue looked the same. Porch light glowing. My grandson's bicycle lying in the grass. I'd bought that bike for his birthday last year, the party I wasn't invited to. Violet answered the door. Her smile was precise, practiced, stopping right at her lips. "Winfield, come in." Not Dad Curtis like she used to call me, just my name delivered like she was signing for a package. Titus stood in the dining room, and my chest tightened. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. His shoulders curved forward like he was bracing for impact. When he saw me, something flickered across his face. Relief, maybe, or warning. He hugged me quickly, and I felt how thin he'd become. "Hey, Dad. Thanks for coming." "Wouldn't miss it," I said, though we both knew I'd missed plenty lately. Not by choice. Dinner started quietly. Pot roast, roasted vegetables, the dishes I'd given them as a wedding gift 5 years ago. I remembered writing the check for their wedding. $25,000. Violet had hugged me that day, called me generous, said she was lucky to have me as family. That woman seemed like someone I'd imagined. "How's the freelancing going?" I asked Titus, cutting into the meat. He opened his mouth, but Violet spoke first. "Freelancing isn't stable. We've been discussing more reliable options." "I have steady clients," Titus said quietly. "The work's good." "Computer work," Violet said, her tone dismissive. "Not exactly." The front door opened without a knock. Heavy boots on hardwood. My daughter-in-law's father, Philemon Walters, walked into the dining room wearing work clothes with Walters Construction LLC stitched across the chest. He hadn't been invited to dinner, yet no one seemed surprised by his arrival. "Violet, sweetheart." He kissed her cheek, ignored Titus entirely, then turned to me. "Winfield, still living in that old place on 85th. "Still there," I said evenly. "Must be tough on a government pension." He pulled out a chair without asking, sat down like he owned the table. "I keep telling Titus here he needs to learn real work. Construction. Hands-on labor. Something with value." I watched Titus's jaw tighten. He stared at his plate. "Design is valuable work," I said. Philemon laughed, a harsh bark. "Sitting at a computer playing with pictures? That's not work. That's a hobby." I offered him a real position at my company, but he keeps making excuses. "I have commitments," Titus began. "To what?" "Playing with graphics." Philemon leaned back, arms crossed. "Your father probably never achieved much either, living in that shack. Low expectations run in families, I suppose." Violet smiled. Actually smiled. I took a sip of water, let the insults settle into the quiet space between my ribs. The glasses were from the wedding gift, too. I'd spent 3 hours picking them out, wanting Titus to have something nice, something that said I believed in his marriage. At my age, I'd learned that defending yourself against people like Philemon only encourages them. So I set down my glass carefully and said, "Well, at my age, low expectations have their advantages." Philemon's expression suggested he'd expected anger, not self-deprecation. He shifted in his seat, looked at Violet. The rest of dinner blurred into a series of small cruelties. Violet mentioned that Titus had been doing free design work for Walter's construction. "Family helps family," she said brightly, as if unpaid labor was a gift. Philemon detailed his business success with numbers that sounded impressive until you considered he was still wearing work clothes to dinner, unable to separate his life from his company. I noticed things. The way Titus flinched when Violet's voice rose. How he apologized constantly, for the temperature of the food, for forgetting to buy the right wine, for having a client call interrupt dinner. The expensive camera I'd given him for his birthday sat in the corner on a shelf, gathering dust. When I asked about it, Violet said, "Hobbies are fine, but they don't pay bills." I excused myself to use the bathroom. Walking through their hallway, I scanned the walls. Photos of Violet's family covered every surface. Her parents, her siblings, nieces, and nephews. Not a single picture of Titus with me. Not one of my grandson with his grandfather. I was erased, archived, removed from the visual history of their family. When I returned, Philemon was lecturing Titus about stepping up and being a man. My son nodded, mumbled agreement, shrank smaller with each word. I remembered teaching Titus to ride a bike. He was 7, skinny-legged, and determined. He fell 6 times before he got it right. Came back every time with scraped knees and absolute focus. "Again, Dad," he'd say. "Let me try again." That boy wouldn't recognize this man. Dinner ended mercifully around 9:30. As I stood to leave, Titus walked me to my car. Away from the lit windows, in the darkness of the driveway, I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. "Dad, he started, then glanced back at the house. Violet stood silhouetted in the doorway, arms crossed. "It's okay, son," I said quietly. But it wasn't okay. And driving home through Seattle's rain-slick streets, I realized I'd been fooling myself for months. This wasn't a rough patch in their marriage. This was something else entirely. My phone buzzed at a red light. "Titus, sorry about tonight." I stared at those 3 words. "Sorry." As if he had done something wrong. The Safeway on Greenwood Avenue was running a sale on apples. I stood in the produce section the following Thursday, comparing Honeycrisps to Fugis, trying to convince myself that normal routines could smooth over the knot in my chest. An older man needs consistency. Shopping on Thursdays, the same store, the same careful selection of fruit that would last the week. Winfield. I turned. Sadie Thornton, my neighbor from 3 houses down, pushed a cart toward me. She'd been a court secretary 20 years ago, back when I was still prosecuting cases. We'd crossed paths again when I moved to Greenwood, shared the occasional conversation about property values and Seattle weather. "Sadie, how are you?" Good. Say, "Was that Titus visiting you last night?" I saw his car. I set down the apple I'd been examining. "Last night, around 8 o'clock, that blue Honda he drives was parked right in front of your place. Sat there for quite a while, actually. 20 minutes, maybe more. I figured you two were having a long chat. 20 minutes. My son had sat outside my house for 20 minutes and never knocked. He probably got a phone call," I said, keeping my voice light. "You know how it is." Sadie's expression shifted, something concerned flickering across her face. "Is everything all right with him?" He looked, I don't know, troubled. "Just busy with work." "Thanks for mentioning it, Sadie." I finished shopping on autopilot, drove home, sat at my kitchen table staring at the old legal pad I kept in the drawer. A habit from 3 decades of building cases. I didn't write anything dramatic, just dates and times. March 9th, dinner at Ballard House. Philemon, low expectations run in families. Violet, hobbies don't pay bills. Titus, multiple apologies. Flinching when wife raised voice. March 13th. Titus sat outside my house. Never came in. The following 2 weeks crawled past. Titus texted sporadically. Dizzy. Sorry. Later. Each message shorter than the last, like he was rationing words. I invited him to coffee twice. Both times he declined with vague excuses about deadlines and appointments. I didn't push. Pushing would make things worse. On a Tuesday afternoon in early April, my phone rang. Violet, not Titus. Winfield, it's Violet. I'm calling about dinner. Hello, Violet. How are you? She ignored the pleasantry. We'd like you to come to dinner this Sunday, April 6th, 6 o'clock. That sounds fine. What's the occasion? Dad Philemon wants to discuss something important about Titus's future. I paused, let the silence stretch. Titus's future, not our future, not family plans. His future spoken like he was a project to be managed. I see. Will Titus be there? Of course. It's his future we're discussing. Her tone had an edge, like she expected resistance. I gave her the opposite. Then I'll be there. A beat of surprise. Oh, good. 6 o'clock sharp. She hung up before I could respond. Sunday came with typical Seattle drizzle. I showered, dressed in khakis and a button-down shirt, checked that my phone was fully charged. Washington is a one-party consent state for recordings, a fact I'd relied on countless times as a prosecutor. Not that I was planning anything specific, just being prepared. I arrived at 6 o'clock exactly. Brought a bottle of wine, nothing expensive, the kind of hostess gift that demonstrated courtesy without warmth. Violet accepted it with a nod. No, thank you. The dining room felt different this time, colder, despite the same lighting. Philemon was already seated at the head of the table, though it was Titus's house. My son looked worse than he had 3 weeks ago. His hands trembled slightly as he poured water. We sat. No small talk. No, how have you been? Philemon launched directly into his agenda. Titus, I've been patient, but it's time you stepped up and joined my company full-time. I appreciate the offer, Titus began carefully, but I've built a client base. Philemon's hand hit the table. The glasses jumped. Your computer games aren't a career. I'm offering you $2,800 a month. Steady income. Real work. That's... Titus's voice wavered. That's less than half what I make now. Money isn't everything, Titus. Violet leaned forward. Family is. Dad's offering you stability. But I am stable. I have contracts through. You're a failure. Philemon's voice filled the room. Just like him. He jabbed a finger at me. Look at your father. 67 years old. Living in that dump. Is that what you want? I continued eating, chewing methodically. Pot roast again. Not as good as last time. Titus stood abruptly, chair scraping back. I need some air. Excuse me. You sit down. Philemon rose too, looming. We're not finished. I just need a minute. I said sit down. Philemon's hand shot out, grabbed Titus's shoulder. He shoved hard, sudden. Titus stumbled backward, caught his heel on the chair leg, went down. The sound of him hitting the floor was dull, meaty. Before he could get up, Philemon stepped forward and slapped him across the face. The crack echoed like a gunshot in the sudden silence. Violet laughed. Actually laughed. Thanks, Dad. Maybe this will teach him to listen. Time stretched. Titus on the floor, hand pressed to his reddening cheek. Violet standing above him with that smile. Philemon breathing hard, flushed with exertion and satisfaction. I set down my fork, placed my napkin beside my plate, stood slowly. Philemon turned to me, apparently expecting approval or at least silence. Sometimes you have to use a firm hand, right, Winfield? Old school discipline. The dining room felt very small, very quiet, despite his heavy breathing. "Excuse me a moment," I said. My voice was calm, too calm. I reached for my phone. I walked to the kitchen. 10 steps, maybe 12. Through the doorway, I could still see the dining room. Titus on the floor, one hand pressed to his reddening cheek. Violet standing over him with her arms crossed. Philemon settling back into his chair like a king on a throne. My phone came out smoothly. 35 years as a prosecutor teaches you certain skills. Evidence first. Always evidence first. I activated the camera, positioned it on the counter, angled toward the dining room, pressed record. Then I made the call. "Marcus, this is Winfield Curtis. I need your assistance. I'm witnessing domestic assault. Adult male victim. Adult male perpetrator. Physical violence including a strike to the face. Victim still on the floor. Location: 6547, 24th Avenue Northwest, Ballard. I'm on scene now. I have video evidence of the incident." Detective Marcus Reed's voice carried surprise. "Winfield? Is this, wait, the Winfield Curtis?" "Yes, we're 3 minutes out. Are you in danger?" "No." "The perpetrator believes I'm a harmless old man. He's currently still berating the victim." Reed's pause was brief. "Are you recording this call too?" "Video recording of the ongoing situation." "Yes. You're familiar with Washington's consent laws." "One party." "Understood. Units rolling now." I ended the call, picked up my phone, returned to the dining room, slipped the phone into my shirt pocket with the camera lens visible. They didn't notice. Too focused on their educational moment. "Please," I said, sitting down. "Continue." Philemon barely paused. "As I was saying, Titus, you'll start at my company Monday. $2,800 a month." Violet pulled out a notepad. Actually pulled out a notepad and started writing. "And you'll need to sell that camera. No more wasting money on hobbies." I lifted my water glass, took a sip. "What exactly would Titus's role be, Philemon?" He leaned back, happy to explain. "Website design, logos, marketing materials. Real work that supports an actual business." "Would that be compensated separately from the $2,800? Philemon scoffed. "That is the compensation. He gets steady income. I get professional services. Fair trade." Titus spoke from the floor, voice barely above a whisper. "That's not fair trade. Those services are worth. You don't get to negotiate." Philemon's fist hit the table. "You're in no position to negotiate anything." I glanced at my watch. 6 minutes since the call. The serving platter sat between us, pot roast congealing in its own juices. Violet was still writing her list. 1. Sell camera. 2. Start at Walter's Construction Monday. 3. Stop wasting time on freelance clients. Like she was planning a grocery trip instead of dismantling her husband's career. Titus looked at me then. Really looked at me. Something in his expression shifted, confused by my stillness, my silence. I gave him the smallest nod. "Trust me, son. Just trust me." 8 minutes. The doorbell rang. Violet's head snapped up, irritated. "Who would come by this late?" "Ignore it," Philemon said. "We're not done here." The doorbell rang again, more insistent. Violet stood with an exasperated sigh. This is ridiculous. She walked to the front door. I heard it open, heard her sharp intake of breath. Good evening, a uniformed officer said. We received a report of a domestic disturbance at this address. What? Violet's voice rose half an octave. There's no disturbance. This is a family matter. Private. Detective Marcus Reed stepped into view behind the patrol officer. Even after 6 years, I recognized him. Same sharp eyes. Same careful posture of someone who'd seen too much and forgotten none of it. Ma'am, we need to come inside. We have probable cause to enter based on the call we received. You can't just... Violet started. RCW 10.31.100 permits us to enter without warrant when domestic violence is suspected. Please step aside. Violet stepped back, face draining of color. The officers entered. Reed scanned the room with professional efficiency. His gaze moved from Titus on the floor to Philemon standing over him to the dining table where I sat with my water glass raised halfway to my lips. Our eyes met. He gave the smallest nod and I smiled. Who the hell called you? Philemon was on his feet. This is harassment. Private property. Detective Reed's expression didn't change. We received a call from Mr. Curtis here, reporting witnessing a domestic assault. Philemon turned to me. You called the cops on family? Reed pulled out his notebook. Mr. Curtis, can you confirm the information from our phone call? Yes, Detective Reed. I witnessed Mr. Walters physically assault my son, shoving him to the floor and striking him across the face. Wait. Philemon's eyes narrowed. You two are on a first-name basis. What is this? Mr. Curtis and I have worked together previously, Reed said evenly. He was a federal prosecutor for 35 years. The silence lasted 3 heartbeats. What? Violet's voice cracked. A prosecutor? Philemon's face reddened. You're lying. U.S. Attorney's Office, Western District of Washington, I said. I retired in 2020. Reed turned to me. Do you have the footage you mentioned? I handed him my phone. 7 minutes, starting after the initial assault. Shows continued verbal abuse and coercion. Reed watched, face neutral, Officer Thompson peering over his shoulder. When he looked up, his expression was professionally blank, but I saw the flicker of recognition in his eyes. Good evidence. Solid case. Mr. Walters, Reed said. Can you explain what I'm seeing here? That's illegal, Philemon sputtered. You can't record people without permission. Washington is a one-party consent state, sir. Mr. Curtis had every legal right to record. Now, this footage shows you striking Mr. Titus Curtis across the face. What's your explanation? He needed to learn respect. He's weak, like his father. Philemon caught himself, but too late. So you admit striking him? It wasn't he needed discipline. Officer Thompson wrote in his notebook. Suspect acknowledges physical contact with victim. Reed turned to Titus, still on the floor. Sir, I need to ask. Do you wish to file charges against Mr. Walters for assault? Titus. Violet's voice was sharp. Don't you dare. He's my father. Titus looked down at his hands. I don't know. I spoke quietly. It's your choice, son. No one can make it for you. Whatever you decide, I support you. If you do this, you're destroying this family, Violet said. Think about what you're doing, boy, Philemon added from across the room. Titus was silent for a long moment. Then he looked up at Violet, at Philemon, then at me. Something settled in his expression. He hit me, Titus said, voice steady. In my own home. He turned to Reed. Yes, I want to file charges. Violet gasped. Titus? You need to leave, Violet, my son said. Both of you need to leave. Reed nodded to Thompson, who moved toward Philemon. Mr. Philemon Walters, you're under arrest for assault in the 4th degree under RCW 9A.36.041. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. This is insane. Philemon jerked away as Thompson pulled out handcuffs. Over a little discipline? Assault on an adult is a criminal offense in Washington state, Reed said. You can explain your actions to your attorney. The handcuffs clicked into place. Philemon's face had gone from red to purple. You'll pay for this. I have lawyers. I'll sue you for everything. I remained seated, hands folded. You'll need an excellent attorney, Mr. Walters. I recommend retaining one immediately. You manipulative old... Sir, Thompson interrupted. I'd advise you to stop talking. They led him toward the door. At the threshold, Philemon twisted back. This isn't over. I met his eyes. No, it isn't. Due to length constraints. I'll summarize the remaining story. The story continues with Titus moving in with his father, the criminal trial where Philemon is convicted of assault, and the parallel collapse of Philemon's construction business due to tax violations and safety issues that Winfield anonymously reported to authorities. Violet loses her job and her marriage ends in divorce. Months later, both Violet and Philemon separately apologize to Titus and Winfield, showing genuine remorse after facing consequences. Titus rebuilds his life with a new job and regains his confidence, while Winfield returns to his quiet retirement, having protected his son using his legal knowledge and connections. The story ends with father and son at peace, having achieved justice through legal means rather than revenge. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.